Hello and welcome to Squib TV. I'm Samuel Layton and I'm joined by James Cartwright, and today we're going to be talking about...
We're going to be previewing Week 5.
So Week 4 led us to this point in the season where we've got some teams that are undefeated, as in the Kansas City Chiefs. Got a couple of teams that have been defeated every game they've played so far, so we're talking Giants, Chargers, Browns... And we've got some surprise leaders of divisions as well. I'm thinking teams like the Buffalo Bills, the Jets actually being competitive in their division as well.
Surprisingly.
The Giants go and play the Chargers this week. What do you think we should watch out for on that one?
Well, to be quite frank, then it can't get much worse for the Giants, can it? I mean, that game at Tampa Bay possibly could have got the win, but just couldn't see it out, and they've struggled to do that in various games. I mean, last 2 weeks. Just struggling to get over the line. Good football teams managed to get over the line. Sign of a poor football team at New York Giants. I don't know why. I think the offensive line not doing great. I mean, Odell coming to the side and is doing well. Eli's not on his best form, and
don't have a running back. Never had a running back.
Never have a running back. Don't have a running back. I think we saw Paul Perkins make a decent run at the weekend. I think it was the biggest run he'd made all season.
I think so, yeah. I think the Giants certainly need to win. The Chargers, I think, will be fancying themselves to get a win against that team.
Chargers have come close in all the games they've played. I think they almost caused an upset against the Eagles at the weekend. Yeah, the Chargers are a very good team, I think, as far as 0-for-4 teams go. In terms of divisional leaders, talking about teams like the Rams, like the Bills being up there, do you see these guys as genuine threats after 4 weeks now, or do you think it's just going to be like the Vikings last season who just hit it hard and then flop completely? I think the next couple of weeks are the absolute indicators to whether these sides can go on. Certainly this weekend for the Rams takes me into my games of the week. Yeah, the Rams playing the Seahawks, and this is a game you maybe would have flicked over before when we were previewing the season, but you know, the Rams leading the division now. The Seahawks kind of struggled last game.
Yeah,
almost got beat by the Colts.
Yeah, I think we will go into your games of the week in a moment. Just another team I want to mention. I know you've got them in your games of the week. Chiefs 4-0. Do you think they'll be able to carry that on playing against the Texans?
Do you imagine so? But I don't know. It's Deshaun Watson going against Alex Smith. Both showing decent form of late. We'll see how they get on. You know, the Chiefs beat them 30-0 last time they played, I believe. The Texans in the not the last time they played, but in the playoffs a couple of seasons ago. That was not in a thrilling game, but hopefully this time it will be. Yeah,
well, we'll see if Travis Kelce can continue his fantastic form in the season. Anyway, I think it's now time for James's Games of the Week.
So you got Seahawks Rams. It's going to be a decent game, I reckon. You know, the Seahawks, as I said, against the Colts, almost beaten. Perhaps should have been, but then you've got McKissick coming in, showed fantastic form, got himself 2 TDs, revitalised that offence. I don't know where this game is going to go. I want to say Rams victory. I
think the Seahawks, for me, have just got to the point where they've done all they can actually do. I think they were at their strongest when they had the likes of Lynch, when they had Smith as the linebacker. When they won the Super Bowl, basically that was the peak of their powers. I think they've been on the decline ever since, but I think they've managed to have a solid enough defence that they've been able to be competitive in games. Russell Wilson is a talent. Offensively, running back position, they've been poor ever since the loss of Marshawn. Wide receivers have never had a solid core. I think that Doug Baldwin's probably the only guy there that you think, yeah, I could have him as a consistent guy. I mean, I just think, fantasy teams and so on, is there anyone offensively other than maybe Wilson and Jimmy Graham that you're thinking, yeah, they're definitely going to be a solid starter in my fantasy team? I'm not so sure. Maybe Doug Baldwin, but I think that's probably it. I think their defence carries them, and I think the Rams look very solid. They've got a solid defence themselves, and to do what they did to the Cowboys, who I think are a better team than the Seahawks, I think that it should also be a Rams victory.
I think it'll just be a real test of how good this Rams team is and how much faith we can put them in winning this division. It'll be a step forward if they do win this game.
It's good to see them welcoming a top team to a game in LA as well, and hopefully get the fans there, which is something they've been struggling with so far. But if they can get the fans there against the Seahawks, a big divisional rival, and get a win there, that's going to bring a bit of excitement to the city as well, especially with the Chargers doing so poorly. Move on to your second game of the week, if that's okay, James.
I've got Packers at Cowboys, which was a playoff game last year. A very thrilling playoff game that, both teams put up their A game in that one. And Packers storming into a lead, then the Cowboys coming back, and then Aaron Rodgers doing Aaron Rodgers things and getting it done with that pass to Jared Cook, leading up to a Malcolm Crosby field goal. I'm not sure it'll go the same way this time. I don't think it'll be quite as thrilling. Hopefully it will be. But I'm just thinking the Cowboys have to get on it this week. They have to win because that division might get away from them if they don't.
The Cowboys are in a tough division. I think that the Cowboys need to get a win for certain. But I also have my concerns with the Packers. I know it's quite odd me saying this, obviously after a convincing win against the Bears, but I think Davante Adams, is he going to be fit? It's unlikely that he's going to be back from the concussion at this early stage. I think it was turned into a key player for them. And I'm not so concerned about the Packers themselves, but their division's a lot tougher than I think it looks on paper. I think the Lions look very competitive. A solid win against the divisional rival Vikings the other week. I think that's sort of put them in a position. I think that arguably, the Lions should be 4-0. I think the decision again in the Falcons game was poor, but they've been beating good teams at home, on the road. They've been doing that, and I think they're a contender. I think this game is very much a clash of two big teams that we expect to be there or thereabouts at the end of the season that probably haven't started as well as they would like. Yeah, as well as they would have liked. Hopefully they can. I think this game will be the catalyst for one of them. Whoever wins this game, I can see going on a big run. I wouldn't bet against one of these teams being in the NFC Championship game come January, but I think it depends very much on this game.
Yeah, I think it depends on the Packers. The Packers are one of them sides. If they actually get out into a lead, they could run away with this game. But if they can get hammered easily by anyone, sometimes it happens. I don't know, but
I just don't think they have a strong enough defense, to be honest. But I think the Cowboys are the more complete of the teams. But then when you've got Aaron Rodgers, you can make anything. He's like a Lionel Messi type guy. He just a moment of magic from this man, and the game's on its head. But we'll go into your final game of the week, which is, I believe, Chiefs at Texans. Why have you put this one down, James? What are you looking for in this fixture?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, it's a battle between two good quarterbacks of recent weeks, some decent players, two good defences. I think that'll be the most interesting battle, is who gets the defensive upper hand in this one. And two sides that I think are going to be battling for that AFC title come the end of the season, as we alluded to in the review video.
Yeah, I think definitely it's going to be a big game. Watson, if he can continue his form, is certainly going to be wanting to take the Texans at home and getting them a lot of points on the board against a Chiefs side, which I think is probably the best in the NFL at the moment. I think they've got some of the best weapons, one of the most consistent running backs, probably the best tight end on form at the moment. Receivers, they look fairly strong. An unsung hero, me and you both like, players like Albert Wilson.
Albert Wilson was superb the other night, and two fantastic grabs.
He just gets it done. I mean, everyone talks about Tyreek, everyone goes, Tyreek will burn people, and he does, and that's why Tyreek's fantastic. But Albert Wilson is that guy. He very much reminds me very much of a poor man's Hines Ward in the terms where he will just make those plays consistently. He'll get in between the numbers. He'll take the hits. You don't see him staying down on the field. He'll get back up. He'll go and make another grab. I think the Chiefs have got a very loaded offense. They've got a solid defense. Sort of players like Justin Houston, Marcus Peters, a guy who I think is one of the best young corners in the league. I can't say enough about the Chiefs. Actually, I think they're a fantastic team. But I think the Texans are going to surprise them a little bit. I think it'll be a much closer game than we would have maybe anticipated 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So. That's the games of the week done. Obviously, there's going to be a few more games this week. So keep an eye on those ones. If anything key does happen, let us know. We'll be watching them, but we'd like to see what you think were the big moments and what you think were the good games. Give us a bit of feedback on what we have said as the games of the week. But James, have you got any players that you think we should be watching out for this week? Anyone that jumps out at you?
Well, the eyes of the football world are going to be on Mitch Trubisky this week. This is a guy we said should be starting if Mike Glenn doesn't make the best of starts. He's done reasonably well, but just hadn't been able to get the victories. I don't know whether that was down to his receivers or down to himself. But Mitch Trubisky comes in, looked decent from the highlights I've seen in pre-season. Looks like he's able to compete in NFL games. And going up against the best defence, well, one of the best defences in the NFL, certainly in his division, against the Vikings. They even get it done in this game. Gives him faith to be putting in the next game as well.
Yeah, I feel a bit harsh on Mike Glenn personally, because I think that he's had a depleted team. None of his real receivers. I mean, I think Josh Bellamy's his number one guy, a guy who's coming in on the number 3 man on the roster. So I do feel a bit sorry for him, but at the same time, you know, if your team's going to be rubbish in terms of results, get the young guy and get him to have that experience. No pressure on Trubisky. You know, no one's expecting him to be a playoff team this year, so he may as well go in there like Goff did at the end of last season, get some snaps under his belt. And you never know, this guy could be the guy to turn it around. They've got some weapons. The Bears, players like Jordan Howard, Tariq Cohen, had solid starts to the season. If Trubisky can get a good relationship going with them, who knows? I mean, would we have expected Jared Goff to be on a 3-for-1 football team at this point last season? Certainly not, but he is, and I think Trubisky hopefully can sort of replicate that. And, you know, went second overall. The guy that went second overall, Carson Wentz, they've been marching as well, the Eagles. So, you know, hopefully for Trubisky, he'll do well. I think he'll perform okay. You've got another guy here, J.D. McKissick, a guy you haven't mentioned briefly.
Yeah, he was superb. He revitalised the offence on Sunday night. The game had been quite close. It had been a bit of a chess match at times, both sides going up the field and scoring points, but then it sort of got away for the Colts and he just compounded it. And this is a guy who's just put into the NFL game, lay it on, just catches your eye with 2 fantastic runs. I think one point Al Michaels, when he ran into the end zone, called him Eddie Lacy.
13, Eddie Lacy. It's McKissick for the touchdown.
Which was like far too nimble to be Eddie Lacy. He didn't trudge into the end zone. He sprinted into the end zone, and it looks like he can catch out the backfield. And you know, with the Seahawks running backs not getting it done at all, you know, I think it'll be utilised quite frequently towards the end of this season.
Yeah, I think the Seahawks need a back. I think they needed someone since Marshawn. Thomas Rawls has shown snippets of being good, but I think hopefully this guy can get himself in there and make some plays. It'd be good for the Seahawks fans to have a guy actually cheer for on offense again that isn't Russell Wilson, who's doing all the work.
They'll need him to step up, these players to step up this weekend, because as I said, one of the games of the week ahead was the Rams and the Seahawks, which is possibly their most important game of the season so far.
Yeah, and another player that I want to mention that we want to watch, James has alluded to this team earlier on, saying that Mitch Trubisky is going up against one of the strongest defences in the Vikings. I'm actually going for an offensive player on that side, or just an offensive group. I think the Vikings offensive group in general is good to watch at the minute. Some top receivers, but a guy that I actually just traded for from James, Latavius Murray, potentially going to be starting again. This guy was a good running back for the Oakland Raiders last season. He was a solid back. Obviously when they got Marshawn Lynch, surplus to requirements, so the man gets himself a new contract in Minnesota. Dalvin Cook goes down injured. Latavius Murray's going to have a point to prove. This guy could be rushing for a number of yards on that Bears defence if the Bears defence doesn't stop. I mean, the Bears defence is what's carrying them through, but we've seen players run on them before. So Latavius Murray's one guy that I'm saying. What do you think about Latavius coming into this week? A man who's had a really poor start to the season.
I don't think he's had many snaps. I think he's been harshly treated in Auckland. I thought he was a decent running back for them, and they've brought in Marshawn, and he's not particularly lit up the place, has he? I think he only got like 12 yards in the game at Denver, and there's a side we've not talked about at all, but the Oakland Raiders not struggling a bit, missing Derek Carr, you know.
Yeah, I think that the Raiders, they certainly would like to have Carr back. EJ Manuel hopefully will do a job for them if he starts this season. Good to see him get an opportunity again in the league. I think bad situation with the Bills has sort of stunted his career a little bit. One more guy I want to mention, a player to watch, just someone that I saw make a couple of plays for Carolina last week, and a guy that I think one of the people we didn't really talk about coming out of the draft, Curtis Samuel, the guy who was taken in the second round, receiver running back prototype, did well in an end around against the Patriots. Hopefully he's not been fully fit, so I'd like to see him get a bit fitter. I think him and McCaffrey could become a good duo. Been a bit disappointed with McCaffrey so far, so hopefully Curtis Samuel can sort of light up the place a little bit more. Anyone else you want to mention quickly, James, or you think we're ready to roll on?
We're ready to roll on.
Right, so let us know what you thought of the video. Let us comment, tell us exactly if you think we've talked about some decent players, any games that you think we should be talking about as games of the week, because the ones James picks tend to end up being 9 for 10 or something.
They're competitive though.
No, they are good. They are normally good ties. But anything else we should be watching out for, let us know. Comment, follow us on Twitter, tweet us at Squib_TV. We'll reply to you, by the way, so if you do want to tweet us, please do so. Give the videos a like, subscribe, and again, thank you for watching.
It's a touchdown.